Right. Good morning. So it's Tim Wiggins here. I'm one of the vendor managers on the Fortinet team. I'm going to be running the sales session this morning. We are following the sales session at about 11 o'clock. We do have a technical session overview being run as well on FortiManager, FortiAnalyzer with Chris Pritchard. If there are any questions in that, do ask. Also following the actual presentations and the WebEx, if you do have any other questions, you're welcome to drop an email into either myself or your account manager, and we will get back to you and help you out on that side. This is part of our 40 Friday series that we've been running every first Friday of the month. So the 10 o'clock sessions are the sales, and with the 11 o'clock sessions being more geared around the technical side. And as I said, if you've got any questions, if you need to get more involved in looking at implementing any of the Fortinet solutions, do contact ourselves or your account managers, and we're more than happy to get involved in having a discussion with you and seeing how we can help you take things forward. So as I said, this morning it's around the management solution side within Fortinet. I'm going to be brushing on briefly a little bit around FortiManager, FortiAnalyzer, and also something else that a lot of people are not aware of, and that's the FortiSeam product. But I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on FortiSeam. The focus is on the FortiManager, FortiAnalyzer side. Bear with me a second. So in terms of looking at the whole management solution side within Fortinet, Fortinet has a framework. They have their the Forti Fabric, and the management solutions form part of that complete framework as well. And the management side of things consists of a couple of key areas and key focus areas. And I'm going to go into some of these in a bit more detail as well. So from a Fortinet perspective, it needs to be quite comprehensive. It also needs to be unified. It needs to be flexible in terms of incorporating multiple products into it, and flexibility in terms of deployment as well. And it needs to be open. So Fortinet do have a set of APIs, and they do publish out those APIs as well. So when we say it's comprehensive and unified, when we're looking at the management framework and the management components, it effectively builds on a lot of the efficiencies around the managed security service providers, infrastructure and offerings as well. So you can use all the management framework within a complete managed portfolio and a managed service that you may be delivering. So it's got all the components in there. So it's got the security, the analytics in there. It does have links into the portal as well. So we can actually do it within a complete management platform as well. And it's also around managing not just the security side of things, and also looking at the reporting, but also looking at how do we update, how do we manage different Fortinet components out there as well. And as I said, that also runs into the areas of both the private cloud. So if you're running it within a VM environment, you're running it within Amazon Web Services, Azure, we can also provide a complete management portfolio that runs within that. And that doesn't matter whether your endpoint devices are within those platforms, or whether you're actually just managing it within those different platform areas as well. In terms of flexibility, it also, as I mentioned earlier on, it needs to cover all the devices that are out there. So whether it's a physical FortiGate, whether it's got virtual instances on that as well, whether it's running within a private cloud environment where it's got a shared platform, any pay-as-you-go type environments as well for Amazon Web Services, for example, and also, as I said, all the virtual side. And it needs to cover all the security services as part of that as well. And the other side of it is it needs to be open. And what do I mean by it needs to be open? Well, it needs to have all the interfaces on there. It needs to be able to have all the APIs and fit into the different areas that organizations may have. So things like orchestration, we have the APIs in there. You can register into the Fortinet Developers Network, and you have APIs, so you can actually build some of the management capabilities into your own delivery platforms as part of that as well. So Fortinet have a layered approach. I'm going to go through some of these very quickly. Some of them I am going to miss. So we talk about the enforcement, and there we talk about the FortiGates, the whole Fortinet FortiGate platforms as well. We then talk about the management side, and this is where I'm going to spend more of the time this morning. So we talk about FortiManager, FortiAnalyzer, FortiSIEM within those environments as well. We talk about integration, and here we're talking about some of the other components that are being integrated into the management platform. So things like with all the APIs, integrating the different components together. And last side is the presentation layer. So we talk about FortiPortal. FortiPortal is really geared around the managed service, security service provider side of things. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that this morning, other than really just briefly mentioning that there is a complete management portal on there that can actually be built, set up, and you can actually provide your own framework to provide a complete managed platform off of the back end of that as well. So just looking at FortiManager and some of the components around that, we talk about enforcement. So part of the Forti management framework and looking at how we actually can go in and implement that, we talk about the FortiGate, the ecosystem, and actually covering the management of those platforms. So what do I mean by that? Effectively, we're taking FortiGate units and we'll be able to manage those through the FortiManager. We can manage that within a cloud offering as well, so we can actually do and linking into the FortiCloud, and we can also use some of the other tools within FortiCloud, such as FortiDeploy, that enables us to go out and effectively implement all the services across the platforms. So if you buy, for example, multiple FortiGate units, you can actually go and buy a FortiDeploy. You can set up a standard configuration, or it could even be Forti access points as well. You can deploy those FortiGates out there, the Forti access points out there as well. Go onto FortiDeploy, literally do an implementation, and it will actually deploy all the appropriate services out to those different platforms. Obviously, you have to configure them and set them up prior to doing that as well. So set up what you want in terms of those profiles. But that allows you to push that out to the relative platforms. The second element to that is the private cloud platform. So again, it draws on a number of different areas. It could be FortiGates, where we actually have the FortiGate implemented within a virtual environment, where we've actually carved the FortiGate up. So we've got a lot of partners out there. They buy a large FortiGate and they carve the FortiGate up into VDOMs. That enables them to provide what's seen by their customers as dedicated platforms. So the VDOMs actually provide those virtual instances effectively on a FortiGate, and that allows the FortiManager allows us to actually implement that and do the enforcement and actual management of those individual VDOMs within that environment. And we could also be talking about within the private cloud, someone implementing that within a virtual environment as well. So implementing FortiGates as VMs within a VM environment using things like ESXi. We could be using various other platforms that we can run the FortiGates on as well, and that allows us to effectively manage each one of those. And every virtual instance we regard as a FortiGate when we're running them in those environments as well. And that covers including the KVM, the Linux-based platforms, Zen, VMware, and the Hyper-V platforms as well. And then we've also got the, when we look at it, the public cloud as well. So if you've got customers, you're implementing services within Azure, within Amazon Web Services, you've got FortiGates effectively deployed within those environments, you can actually go in and manage those individual instances within those different platforms as well, all from the same FortiManager base as well. And it's the same thing with a reporting layer as well. So when we talk about FortiAnalyzer, it's the same thing with those as well. What are we actually managing? So we're effectively enforcing certain services on them. So gearing up around the policies. So effectively, what we do is it allows us to enforce all the security layer across that. So we can set up what do we want to deliver to those customers, those individual customers, in terms of the different services, antivirus, web filtering, etc. So all those different layers, we're effectively putting them all together, buttoning them up, and we're able to actually provide enforcement across those different platforms. And when you're doing that within a multi-tenanted environment, you can group customers together, you can group FortiGates together as well. So it could be one FortiGate, it could be multiple FortiGates, each having their own different elements within them. So we may have a customer that only wants antivirus and web filtering on there. You can deliver that on that platform as well. We talk about enforcement, so we talked a bit around enforcement. So what about the actual components? What is the management framework that I've been talking about? So it consists of FortiManager, FortiAnalyzer, and effectively FortiSeam. So when we go into these in a bit more detail specifically, so FortiManager itself, FortiManager allows us to manage multiple FortiGate units. There is probably a threshold that you get to in terms of the number of FortiGate units that you can manage. But you can actually manage these within and providing a management overlay to your customers. So in other words, what I mean is you could have 100 customers out there, you can implement FortiManager, and that will allow you to manage each of those individual FortiGate units that are out there. Not only that, you actually can give your own customers access into FortiManager, so they can only see their specific Fortinet unit or FortiGate unit and specifically manage certain components of that. So you can do things like role-based administration within that environment. And so it allows you to manage the devices. It allows you to manage the policies and the objects that you have within that. So you can actually configure the physical device, how you want that device to be configured and running within that network, and then also the actual policies. What policies you want to implement, how do you want to implement the web filtering policies, etc. You can also manage VPNs, so there is also capability of doing some clever stuff with the VPN Manager. You can also manage the access points within that environment as well. And then there is also the Forti client, the Forti client side of things. And then, of course, FortiGuard. We always forget about FortiGuard and the FortiGuard services. So it's also around how often do you want to update the units? When do you want to update them? You can actually invoke policy across them as well and change management. So you may be be managing a whole load of FortiGates on behalf of individual customers. They may want to change a policy. They may go through a login to the actual FortiManager through their own interface, change a policy on there, but it doesn't get implemented straight away on the FortiGate. It goes through a change management or change control process. So someone in your own organization sees the change come through, they turn around and say, yeah, it's acceptable for that change to be implemented. We want to implement it at 11 o'clock tonight, and they can then turn around and say, right, yep, go ahead with that policy. And it's the same thing with the FortiGuard services. You could turn around and say, we want to upgrade the unit to the latest or one of the latest OSs. You can actually turn around and do that through the FortiManager as part of that. And FortiManager also takes a snapshot of the configurations, make sure it's backed up, and allows you to do the rollback in the event of anything happening with the implementation too. So as I mentioned, it allows you to effectively push the configurations, push those updates out to the individual FortiGate units as well. So it's all managed through the GUI. A lot of it, what you see within the FortiManager looks very, very similar to what you would see on a FortiGate. So on the top line, you can actually have a pull-down menu where you can see which FortiGate you're managing. You can look at the system interfaces, what you want to configure on those units specifically. As I said, it's just a simple drop-down menus through the GUI as part of all that implementation. And you can also go in and manage individual objects within those environments as well. So effectively, you can implement and manage a complete FortiGate unit through FortiManager on that. And as I said, the objects as well, so you can also go in and configure how you want to manage the policies and objects within the environment. What do you want to set up within those objects? How do you want to set up certain policies within those environments as part of that? And actually go out and push those policies out, implement those policies within the FortiGate units out there. So there's a complete package within that, and you can create some common policies, what you want to implement across a lot of your different platforms, standard policies that you want to drop into those different FortiGate units as you deploy them as well. So that means your initial deployment going out, implementing a FortiGate unit is simplified as part of that. So you could literally be sending out a FortiGate unit, pre-configuring the initial IP addresses, dropping the FortiGate unit in, and then going through and managing it through the FortiManager. One of the things I would say, and our technical team will pay testimony to this, if you're managing the FortiGate unit through FortiManager, you want to continue to manage it through FortiManager and not through the FortiGate, because they can get out of sync. So what we always say is do everything through FortiManager. If you're managing the FortiGate unit through FortiManager, implement everything you do through FortiManager, and that just simplifies the whole process. I mentioned VPNs, so there is also some VPN tools in there as well that allows you, and a VPN Manager. This effectively allows you to set up and configure your VPN capabilities. So it allows you to look at the VPN setup, use a VPN wizard, and go through and configure your topology and how you actually want your VPNs to work. Again, some of this, it depends on what you're trying to do, how you're trying to do it within your environment, and a lot of people, they prefer to sit down and configure these components individually within the network as well. So they prefer to go through, look at what the individual FortiGate units are, and actually configure those within the network. But the tool is there to look at that. I mentioned access points. So the other thing that you can do within FortiManager is go and individually manage the individual FortiGate and the access points and the within those different environments as well. So what I mean, you can actually go in individually, manage the access points, so configure the SSIDs, configure how you want those different APs to be configured and running within that environment. It also allows you to go through and look at some of the reporting and the status of those access points. So you can do drill downs through FortiManager into a specific FortiGate and the specific access points within that environment. And there's some clever facilities where you can actually do it, where you can map them into the actual access points into some mapping as well, and that enables you to go and manage them from an uptime perspective and the health side of things as well. So you can do some clever things around looking at the individual health of those access points, who's connected to those access points, etc. And the whole thing around that is it allows you to be in control and let your customer know what the situation is with that before they actually find out that something's gone wrong. So yeah, the access point's up and running, it's delivering the service, and you know exactly what's going on out there. The other element of this is also the FortiGuard. So what this also allows you to do is FortiManager allows you to look at the different FortiGuard services and deploying that out to the individual FortiGate or Fortinet units. So be that FortiSandbox, FortiMail, the FortiGates themselves, FortiClient, it allows you to actually control and when and how you schedule FortiGuard update services. And also if you're using things like FortiSandbox and the sandbox picks up a advanced persistent threat or a zero-day type exploit, it allows you to take that and also manage deploying that out. So you can configure it so it automatically just sends it out the initial signatures out to all the devices to protect the devices, but it also allows you when the updates come through as well to manage that deployment out to the individual FortiGate units. as well. So FortiManager allows you to control what versions are out there, and also for you to go in and interrogate that. Is the unit up to date? Has it been connected? What's the current antivirus version that's on there? When was it last updated, etc. And also it allows you to look at things like the version control, what versions you've got running on your individual FortiGate units as well. So what FortiGate units have I got? What version they're running on? Do I want to change that? Make sure it backs it up beforehand. As I've been going through talking here this morning, one of the things I continuously mention is that the whole management function within the FortiManager is really geared around the multi-tenancy side. So it is a multi-tenanted platform, and we talk about administrative domains. So administrative domains allows us to cluster different FortiGate units together and also manage the individual FortiGates. So again, from a management perspective, you may be managing an individual customer who may have multiple FortiGates in there. They may have them configured in different formats as well. So they may be even using VDOMs as part of that. And it also allows you to individually manage the individual FortiGate units. So whether it's an enterprise with multiple FortiGate units or an SMB customers and you've got 100 SMB customers, you can manage all those individual FortiGates from a single point and control how you're doing that as well. And as I said, you can drill down to the individual FortiGate units, managing them by site. And again, the managed service providers, they're using FortiManager as part and parcel of what they're doing to manage multiple platforms. So it's a great way of getting into the whole managed services side of things, providing more value into your customer base as part of what you're delivering out there to your customers. So you're not just selling a FortiGate, dumping it on a customer site and leaving it. You could actually be putting the FortiGate unit on that site, sitting it in there, and actually doing and monitoring it on their behalf. And of course, making sure that you get some return on what you're providing into those areas as well. The other components within this, within the management layer as well, is the FortiAnalyzer. So FortiAnalyzer effectively allows us to take the input or the logs and look at the monitoring of multiple FortiGate units. Again, it is a multi-tenanted platform. So it allows us to actually look at not just individual FortiGate units, but multiple FortiGate units and do reporting, tracking, etc. on all those individual units. So we can do things like FortiView. FortiView allows you to do drill downs into the individual FortiGates or individual groupings of FortiGate units as well, and interrogate details in a lot more detail. So between FortiView and LogView, you can go and look at the logs. We've also got the event monitor within that, and we can do reporting as well. And a lot of the reporting is in a lot of cases from things like the event logs and the log views that you get as well. The other beauty of FortiAnalyzer is you can actually go and brand that. You can go and configure that. And you can turn around and say, right, I want to do some reporting. I want to generate a report, and every Monday I want to send that report to my customer. So it's not just a box sitting in a corner with blinking lights on it that the customer doesn't know what it's doing. And I'll talk a little bit more around that as well. So FortiView enables you to, as I said, go down, do a lot more drill down into the individual components. And again, you can configure the GUIs, you can configure the dashboards in this like you can with a FortiGate and FortiManager as well. What it effectively allows us to do is go in, drill down into a lot more detail within the actual FortiAnalyzer side. So it allows us to see what's going on in the units, what the threats are that are potentially coming through as well as part of our whole management side of things. But as well as that, it also allows us to do further drill downs into different areas. So for example here, you can actually go and start looking into a lot more detail into the top sources of where threats are coming through, or who the individual users are that are going through the network as well. And as I said, you can go and select individual components, and you can go and select by different areas, different sessions, etc. So you can go and drill into sessions, the bandwidth, threat sources, etc. And it just allows you to be proactive in terms of what you may be doing, or if you see something going on, to actually go and investigate it a bit further to provide feedback to your customer. Hey, Mr. Customer, do you know you've got an individual on your network? They've come in, plugged their PC into the network, and we've picked up the fact that it actually seems to have something on it that shouldn't be there. And you can actually start doing drill down and actually get down to the individual machine and report that back to your customer as well. So as I said, there are different areas. They can go through the bandwidth, the sessions, threat areas as well. And as I said, you can start looking at different areas. Indicator of compromise is an add-on component to FortiAnalyzer. So the indicator of compromise is whereby for the FortiGuard services get involved as well, and what they do is there's a component there that actually continuously monitors what's coming into the FortiAnalyzer, linking back into the FortiGuard services, and allows you to actually do some proactive reporting back in as well. So it actually highlights when there has been a potential compromise within the network as well as part of that service. So again, it's an add-on service through FortiView of what you can actually provide. I mentioned logs, so you can also go into the individual logs. You can do the drill downs into the logs, so you can select the specific device, look at the individual source IDs or the individual users, and you can start drilling down into those in a lot more detail as well. And on the right-hand side, you can see a lot more of the detail of what you can actually get into. So it's a very comprehensive platform, and if you're providing managed services, a key part of providing those services. And again, things like applications. What applications are running through the network? What are they actually using within the network? So if someone's using something they maybe shouldn't be, you've enabled Facebook and you're finding that people are playing games within Facebook, you could actually go back and say, is this and what you would normally allow one of your users to do? You know, are they being productive, etc. And it's part of the reporting function back into it as well. There is an event monitor within it, so you can also go and look at events and do drill downs into events. So if you've seen something happening within the network, you can actually click on the event monitor, go in and look at what the actual event was. What was actually going on there. And again, it ties it to all the individual details. So you've got all the details of that specific event, what it pertains to, where it originated from, etc. So you can do quite a lot of drill downs into things. The reporting side, there is a load of standard reports on there. As I said, these you can customize. You can generate these reports and send them out. You can schedule the reports. You can go in, create a report for a specific customer. Again, you know, the capabilities of building this as part of a managed service and what you're delivering out to your customers. So you could turn around and say a basic report customer gets once a month that says this is how much went through your FortiGate unit. This is effectively how many users were on there. These are the top 5 sites, etc. Or you could give them a comprehensive report and say this is a full detailed report. This is what all your individual users went through during the month. This is all the threats that we blocked and what we actually stopped coming through the network, and start showing the value of the FortiGate sitting on there. And they may want user reports or reports on what the main websites that were accessed by their users, what the key applications were used by the users as well. All that can be generated through the reporting tool. And as I said, you can customize that as well. And there are reports for compliancy as well. So you'll see reports around the compliancy side as well. So PCI, etc. And as I said, there is a comprehensive list of reports, and you can go in, use those reports, take those reports, and reformat them and change them, and start generating additional reports out of that as well. And as I said, there is a full reporting tool in there that helps you build those reports as well as part of that. There's also some standard charts, so you can go and click on and set up some standard charts that can be produced, and those can also be dropped into those reports as well as part of what you're delivering. And as I said, what it means is it comes the end of a month, you can send out a report to your customer. Mr. Customer, here's a report that we generated of everything that went through your FortiGate unit during the month. Just getting to the end here as well. One of the other areas a lot of people are not aware of, Fortinet acquired Excelops back in September of last year. That product been very successful out there, and we're starting to deploy it out there as the Fortinet product now as well, as FortiSIEM. So SIEM, Security Incident and Event Management. This is a new area for a lot of customers as well, but again, it's a fully multi-tenanted platform, and effectively it literally borders over between a SOC and a NOC in terms of what it actually delivers out there to customers. So if it is an area that you're interested in looking at further in terms of what you're providing out to your customers, providing managed services, or you've got an enterprise customer who is interested in looking at SIEM and looking into it a bit further, I'm more than happy to get the team to do a WebEx overview of FortiSIEM, discuss it in a lot more detail. But as I said, it covers quite a large area, so it's not just about reporting and tracking logs. It is actually looking at what is actually going on in the network, what is the customer actually doing, and it borders, as I said, runs across not just the security products, but also looks at what have they got running in terms of their servers, what are their servers doing. So we can actually use the whole FortiSIEM product to monitor all the security devices in their network, all their servers in their network, and right down to individual endpoint devices as well. And they've got some very good tools that drop into the Windows type environment, where you can actually monitor individual Windows platforms as part of that, and get some detailed reporting around compliancy, around what they're actually running on those platforms as well. So it's a very comprehensive platform. We've got customers that have deployed it, they're using it. It does things like ticket creation as well. So if an incident gets raised, be it from a security platform, from a firewall, so they've got security incidents, or from one of their servers, so the server's getting low on memory or running out of disk space, they can actually raise a ticket, and that ticket can then be actioned and tracked and assigned off to whoever it's being used for as well. So that was really everything around the management side of things, so FortiManager, FortiAnalyzer, and FortiSIEM. Just to finish off here very quickly as well, the platforms are integrated. So what I mean by that is Fortinet do publish out their APIs. The Fortinet Developers Network allows us to actually utilize and take those APIs and use them within your own different platforms. So you could use the REST API, for example, for full provisioning, and actually going out, deploying out the Fortinet solutions to customers. So if you've got a provisioning platform, for example, a customer comes on, literally logs in, he's got an account with you, he needs to implement a FortiGate within a VM environment, or within your own environments as well. He can say, I want to activate that, and you can actually use the whole API system for actually doing that full provisioning into those different platforms as well. So that's all available, as I said, through the Fortinet Developers Network, as part and parcel of what that delivers. And again, the APIs are there for things like management, so you can actually go and start using it as part of your management into your different management platforms, if you've got other platforms that you're running as well. And that's really just covering what's actually in there with regards to the API interfaces and the services that you get from all the FortiManagers, FortiManager, FortiAnalyzer, and FortiGate as well. I'm not going to go into FortiPortal. There is a full presentation layer, and the FortiPortal allows you to develop your own full management portal that's visible to your customers. So it allows you to actually be the presentation layer and the management layer out there to all your customers as well. So you can use FortiManager, FortiAnalyzer as part of the delivery of the service, and you can give your customers access in there. FortiPortal lets you take it to the whole next level in terms of a management platform as well. Before I move on from that, one of the things to make you guys aware of as well is something that we've launched in the past week. Is Fortinet, is exclusive networks. We have just recently launched our Mars initiative. So Mars is a monitoring, alerting, reporting service. As I said, it's just been launched out to customers. What that enables us to do is we can get directly involved with yourselves and with your end customers, actually providing a monitoring, alerting, and reporting service out there to your customers. So if you've got a customer who's deploying FortiGates, who's running FortiGate units out there, we can get involved in monitoring that on your behalf, alerting customers if anything goes wrong or if anything comes through the FortiGate side of things, and all the reporting on that as well. And the next layer to that is even actually going down the stage of raising calls. If a FortiGate unit, for example, or an access point has got a problem, raising that onto Fortinet and placing the calls and getting it resolved as well. And that's the next layer that comes along after that. So just looking at very quickly use cases for FortiManager, FortiAnalyzer, and FortiSeam. So as I said, if you've got you're managing a load of small, mid-sized businesses, you may deploy and may want to deploy FortiManager on your own site and FortiAnalyzer, and provide that as part of what you do out there to your customers. So what you could be doing is actually managing the individual FortiGates and providing that and actually providing your customers access into FortiManager as the role-based administration. Again, the FortiAnalyzer, you could have that doing the collection of all the details and logs from your different customers and actually going out there and sending the reports out to the individual customers. So it's again a value that you provide out to your customer base as well. And that runs across the FortiGates, it runs across the hypervisors and the various VM platforms as well. You may have a customer or may have some enterprise customers that may want to deploy it themselves, so they can actually deploy FortiManager and FortiAnalyzer, and we do have customers that do this, and they want to manage it themselves as part of what they are doing within their own environments. The FortiAnalyzer, FortiManager, most cases we're recommending that you deploy them as VMs. It gives you the flexibility to upgrade them. There are physical appliances, but I'd say probably 90% of the time customers are deploying FortiManager and FortiAnalyzer as VMs. FortiManager being sized based on the number of FortiGate or VDOMs that it's actually managing. So if you've got a customer that's managing, or you're managing 100 FortiGate devices, you need FortiManager licensed for 100 FortiGate devices. FortiAnalyzer is sized based on the number of logs. So it does actually correlate back to how many devices are out there and also what logs you're collecting. But again, doing it within a VM environment means that as you grow your business, so you may start off with 40 or 50 FortiGate units out there, you can buy FortiManager, manage those 50 FortiGate units. As you start to bring on customers, you may want to upgrade that licensing. Once you go beyond the 50 to 100, you can do that. So it allows you to carry on managing those customers and grow that customer base, and looks at the cost associated with that as well. And the same thing with FortiManager. FortiAnalyzer. FortiAnalyzer allows you to collect the logs. If you've only got a basic customer that you're keeping the basic logs for because he's not willing to pay for any, or doesn't want to pay and doesn't need all the analyzing services, you can actually turn off some of that log collection. If you've got customers that want all the logs and all the details, you can actually download those to FortiAnalyzer, but obviously depending on the amount of log collection, how many logs are coming in, depends on the sizing of FortiAnalyzer within those environments as well. So as I said, you can manage your individual customers out there, and it says, as I mentioned, it fits within the cloud services side of things as well. So you could be managing FortiGate units within the VM type platforms as well. And last but not least, I did cover it very briefly. FortiSeam. So if you've got a customer that's got a SOC and a NOC, or you want to provide SOC and NOC services, FortiSeam is a fully multi-tenanted platform. It allows you to implement FortiSeam and Seam within that environment and start managing your customer sites as well. So it doesn't just go into FortiGate units, it goes into whatever other platforms that that customer may be running. So they may be running multiple security vendor platforms, Cisco, etc. They may be running Windows servers, Linux servers within those environments. We can monitor, as part of the FortiSeam product, all of those different environments as well. And we've got a number of telcos out there as well. So that's another environment, and a managed service provider. So it is a fully multi-tenant platform. Hopefully that's given everyone an idea. It's quite a quick run through on the full management platform. If there are any questions, as I said, welcome to answer them. If you want to discuss in more detail the whole area of FortiManager, FortiAnalyzer, FortiSeam, and deploying the products out there, getting it running within your own platforms, and managing your own customer base, more than happy to get involved. Any questions? Excellent. As I said, any more questions, welcome to drop me an email, drop your account manager an email as well. Don't forget, 11 o'clock, get your technical guys. They can join on the technical session running in about 10 minutes time, 10 to 15 minutes time. Thanks very much for your time.